the teens aren't making music anymore, so there's no teenager music to listen to.
I went to go see Somber Sunday night at the Anthem in DC. It just kept getting worse the more it went on. He would make like super niche references to like 13-year-olds, but then he would also say like super vulgar stuff about like getting his d sucked.
Bring back stuff for the kids. Because when I was growing up, we had LaBow Wow, Romeo B2K, we had all of them. The kids need kids.
Yes, it's the parents' job to make sure their kids are watching and seeing the right things, but also, what else is this kid supposed to watch?
If you think kids are growing up too fast today, there's an uncomfortable reason that traces back further than you may realize. Before social media influenced every thought, trend, and personality trait of a child's life, there was a different type of influence that decided what childhood looked like.
Over the years, Disney Channel perfected the formula not only for producing successful kids' TV, but also for launching countless child stars who would develop into some of the most influential adult names in entertainment. So who exactly is the Disney kid, and how do they continue to shape our shared culture as they grow up?
Britney Spears was one of the earliest answers to that question, and while she wasn't the first teen idol, because of course there were icons for every young generation, she was the blueprint for the modern machine that created the ecosystem every teenage girl was supposed to be a part of.
Being out there in the public as much as I am in the public eye, it's just inevitable that I'm going to be a role model for them, and they're going to have to, they're going to look up to me, which is flattering, but I just can't be stupid and do stupid things, which I wouldn't anyway. But I've just got to, try to be confident and positive towards life, and hopefully that'll rub off on them,
Back in the late 80s, early 90s, the music charts were being dominated by grunge, gangsta rap, Madonna, edgy alternative that was seen as too mature and borderline dangerous.
The first wave of the Satanic Panic was back in the 80s when Christian fundamentalists blamed Iron Maiden and Judas Priest for teenagers unaliving themselves and playing D&D.
Since kicking off his Dead to the World tour in October of '96, Manson has met opposition at almost every stop along the way.
If they're going to have an atmosphere here that praises Satan, we're going to lift Jesus higher.
Because think about it, if you're a teenager, what could possibly make you want to listen to an album more than your parents telling you that you are not allowed to?
Parents all over the world were desperate for something safe and predictable for their kids. They needed a symbol of innocence that they could point their children towards. And as comforting as that narrative sounded, it meant a teenager basically became a cultural safety net for an entire generation. Britney was carrying the responsibility of being America's daughter on her back, but America was a strict parent. Let's just say that. In today's video, we're breaking down how an entire teen idol system was built, how it fell apart, and how the collapse set the stage of stars teens are obsessed with today. Welcome to the Girl Talk you didn't know you needed, and I'm not saying you have to subscribe. You're classy. I know you don't just give those away for free, but hopefully at the end of this video, we become bestie enough for you to take that next step. Since Britney was given the title of America's daughter, that meant she wasn't allowed to grow up on her own terms. The world had already decided that she belonged to their children.
Britney, you are a teen sensation, and there are a lot. I was watching the faces of people, besides the guys drooling and women, girls singing along. There's a tremendous admiration factor here. You represent a lot to these people. What is it from your perspective, what do you think you represent to these people?
Well, I try to portray someone who is confident, and I go for what I believe in, and I go for what I want in life, so hopefully that comes across to the audience.
The influence Britney had on kids all over the world was also the blueprint for how kids presented themselves, how they dressed, and how they acted. The parents seen this anti-rock star, a wholesome Southern girl next door on the Mickey Mouse Club, and they said, yes, this is the girl who I want my children to look up to. But then she didn't fit that image to the media standard anymore. She was never supposed to step outside that blueprint of teen innocence. She was supposed to be for the children, forever.
Well, I think she has a great voice and she had a great performance, but I think that a lot of little kids watch her and sometimes I think she can wear what she decides to wear, but I think that she should just watch what she wears at times and where she is sometimes for little children.
But the world forgot one thing that I feel like everyone should know, and that is that teenagers grow up. They evolve and they rebel, and you can't threaten them with violence when they do.
With Madonna as her model, Britney Spears has upset a lot of mothers in this country, starting with the wife of the governor of Maryland, who appeared at an anti-violence rally and, well, listen to what she said.
Really, if I had an opportunity to shoot Britney Spears, I think I would.
Oh, that's horrible. That's really bad.
Because of the example for kids and how hard it is to be a parent and keep all of this away from your kids.
Well, that's really sad that she said that. Ew.
Britney went on to push past that mold of being America's token of innocence, but it left a hole in the perfect teen idol pedestal. Now, I do have to bring this up because once upon a time, teens and preteens did have their own designated lanes. There were magazines like J14, Tiger Beat, and M Magazine. There was music literally designed and filtered right into Kids Bop. And you can say all you want about Kids Bop today, but back in the day, it was a moment, okay? Around the time that they were really popping, they were out charting Drake. Kids were actually excited to download the latest song on their MP3 players, put their wired headphones in, and hear their own version of whatever was on the radio. Which really makes me think, headphones have really come a long way. This message is sponsored by Raycon. While the new year is still new, taking care of myself and my new space has been one of my top priorities, and my Raycon Essential Open Earbuds have definitely become a part of that routine. They're lightweight, super comfortable, and they've become the pair I reach for without even thinking about it. They have an open ear design, meaning you can hear your music loud and proud, but you can also hear your surroundings at the same time, keeping you aware and also safe. I use them all the time when I'm working from home or cleaning up around the house because I can hear my music clearly without blocking out what's going on around me. And when I am working out, the rotating ear hooks keep them in place all while staying comfortable. Raycon has 3 million customers for a reason. The sound quality matches the expensive brands, but the price stays low because they don't pay for celebrity endorsements or retail markups. The Essential Open Earbuds are here to help you go for gold. Go to buyraycon.com/JanaeOpen to get 15% off. Thanks again, Raycon, for sponsoring today's video. So now that Britney Spears was beyond Disney's reach, even though they basically quote unquote built her, they stepped in with a foolproof plan to make sure that the next teen pop star never stepped out of line again.
2006 marked a major shift for the Disney Channel as they decided to go a more musical route. Disney Channel was seeing success like they had never seen before. This new wave of Disney Channel stars would experience their lives changing overnight as their fame rocketed off at a faster rate than any of their predecessors, and Disney Channel was ready to cash in.
The immediate success of the hit television show Hannah Montana pushed Miley Cyrus, the main star, into a type of spotlight no child is expected to experience. And not only did it push her into the spotlight, but it pushed her into a lot of pressure. And what kind of pressure could a 12-year-old girl even be pushed to go through? Well, it was about the same as Britney Spears. It's just a bit different because for Britney, they were managing and sadly controlling her entire career. But for Miley, they were managing her whole underage identity.
Every time she had a thought, she thought about Disney and how they would feel about her response.
Do you ever swear? No. You stub your toe. What do you say?
I don't know. Ow.
Disney owned her mind.
The pop stars that were produced out of Disney were perfectly curated to be the perfect role model for millions of young people around the world. And the pop stars knew that. It was a piece of them they basically sacrificed to stay on Disney's good side.
Disney had this the specter of the legacy of the Disney brand that always hangs over everything. And so they were much more conscious of living up to that brand, making sure the kids were role models, and that extended to the showrunners and the people running the shows on set. So you see Disney much more willing to part ways with people when they crossed a line or when there was tension that maybe has allegedly not been what happened at other children's networks.
Disney knew that the more successful these stars got, the more money the parents spent. But the parents weren't spending much money if the 15-year-old star was seen doing topless photo shoots.
There's the offending picture in question, and it's Miley with just like a sheet over her front, and you can see her nude back and her hair is tousled. She's got a dark eye on, a little red lips. And basically everybody lost their minds that this was so sexually provocative and inappropriate.
Fans and parents react after Miley Cyrus poses for a provocative photo shoot. Does that change your image of Hannah Montana?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of shocked.
I'm embarrassed for them, actually.
I would have thought she wanted to be a better role model.
I believe if that picture had been taken in her mid-20s, it would have been okay. I don't think anybody would have flinched at it. But at 15 years old, no.
It makes her look like a, scum.
They made her look like they made her look like she was something that she's not.
This was honestly the beginning of the end for Miley's Disney reputation. There were music videos, quote-unquote scandalous photos. Some even recall pole dancing while performing Party in the USA.
Miley Cyrus was one of the performers, and she actually performed with a stripper pole.
She's always getting herself in trouble.
I think if she was over 18, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, but this is, she's 16, this is a Teen Choice Awards, this isn't the MTV Movie Awards. It's just a little too much.
At this point, Miley was a liability to Disney. They had angry parents, shocked and confused children, and the media in an uproar because they couldn't control their perfect puppet.
Also around this time, photos leaked of her and her boyfriend at the time kissing and cuddling. Disney was not happy. All of their stars kept a squeaky clean image, so Miley was towing the line. Her parents didn't want her to go wild. Disney didn't want her to go wild. And because of it, Disney did everything they could to disassociate with her.
Now, a lot of you and myself are probably thinking that the reactions to these teenagers just experienced teenhood was extreme, because at the time, yes, it was dramatic, but maybe, just maybe, and this is something that a lot of us probably don't want to admit, but a part of me wonders if the panic that came from the media and the parents, a part of me is wondering if they could almost see into the future. A part of me wonders if that panic was them realizing that they couldn't control the look of innocence anymore. Now, here's where this video is taking a turn and where the story becomes way bigger than just two teenage girls. Because the overall circumstance of both stories sent Hollywood into what I believe to be a panic. I think executives took a step back and realized that building an entire brand on the image of a teenager came with a level of pressure and scrutiny the network and the teenager couldn't survive.
I'm sure you guys have all heard about this open essay that Joe Jonas wrote for New York Magazine. And in it, he talked about how he and his brothers were controlled, every aspect of their lives, by Disney.
Joe Jonas spoke of this in 2013 when he said being a part of a company like Disney Channel comes with certain expectations. That the pressure to please Disney Channel executives, their parents, and fans is the kind of pressure no teen should ever be under.
And while I don't put it past Disney to even put that aside and take advantage of these teens, work them to death just to cash a check off their bloodline for life, at this point, around the late 2010s, it was really out of their control. Social media was rising, and platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Tumblr, and eventually TikTok started shaping kids way faster than any network executive ever could. The new teen idols weren't being filtered and media trained through Disney, they were coming straight from the internet.
Young people inherently look up to people older than them. Back in the day of Disney and Nickelodeon TV shows, that wasn't as big of a deal because we were shown content that was somewhat resembling a childhood reasonably similar to that of our own. But today, the kids on TikTok not only have access to also other kids making TikToks, they have access to more or less every other demographic of human being that exists. So it's up to them who they want a star to be or who they want to follow. And it's probably not going to be someone that looks younger than them.
Not to mention the teen stars coming from that era were way more mature than the pop princesses kids were used to seeing. Artists like Lorde, Halsey, and Billie Eilish were coming on the scene, and their music, style, and audience was shifting with that culture.
Around 2013, when songs like Royals dropped, it changed the pop music landscape.
I don't think there was any way Disney Channel stars were going to be able to keep up with the mature content. They were still singing their friendly dance pop songs. After Royals, you see people like Khalid, Alicia Cara, Troye Sivan, and Halsey Rise.
Kids were growing up with the music now. We were listening to party rock anthems, and that one song that my mama hated when it came on the radio, Whistle by Flo Rida, that song was nasty, and I had no business singing it at 10 years old. But we were in a new era, listening to Kesha sing about illegal substances and Katy Perry kiss a girl. And Kids Bop was still going strong, but they couldn't keep replacing the word kiss with hug as easily anymore. The lyrics in these modern songs were getting way too raunchy to mess.
One good example out of a few is their cover of Bruno Mars' The Lazy Song, where the verse on his says, meet a really nice girl, have some really nice sex, and she's gonna scream out, this is great. On the Kids Bop version it says, meet a really nice girl, send a really nice text, and she's gonna write back, you're so great. Another example of Lady Gaga's Telephone, where she says, out in the club and I'm sipping that bub, but Kids Bop says, out in the club and I'm eating that grub. Why are kids at the club? Or even on the Old Town Road remix, instead of saying lean all in my bladder, they say riding on my bladder, which that's just strange.
So now playing with dolls at 12 years old, that was embarrassing and something that you didn't tell your friends. Even I was shamed for it. I vividly remember going through that stage of, should I play with these dolls? You know, I'm in 6th grade. Like, should I play with the dolls? I don't know if I should tell my friends, like, hey, do you want to come over and play? Do I even say play anymore? Like, do you want to hang out now? Like, it was a whole shift, right? But at that point, I realized that I was getting older and I didn't want to be a baby anymore. So my Baby Alive doll was at Goodwill. Now, they definitely tried something with JoJo Siwa, I can't lie.
Hey everyone, it's JoJo. Welcome back to my YouTube channel.
I think she was the last grasp at hope for the kids and innocence. And they had someone to look up to, okay? She was still wearing high ponytails and bows at 17. And her bows were $1 million industry, so you know kids were buying them.
You brought bows back.
Thank you. The bows have sold over 80 million.
80 million in bows.
But it was already too late. We were already in that era where it was socially unacceptable to be a kid past the age of 12.
Tweens today aren't at the mall anymore. They're shopping at Sephora, TikTok Shop, and Shein. They're also just not experiencing the tween phase altogether.
So if Claire's was going out of business and no one was shopping in them, where were all the bows being sold now? No one was buying them. They were too busy wearing, I don't know, scrunchies. So, once JoJo broke free, because trust me, they're always gonna break free. That's the lesson here. That was the turning point that proved no matter the amount of branding, media training, or Disney, the middle ground was gone, and it was being replaced by something a lot more grown.
So as a child, you can freely go on any platform and take in any content available to you. And this means that the kids that are going on these platforms are being influenced primarily by adults and teenagers. And this has led children into seeing anything that's made for preteens like Claire's or Ardeen as cringy, because it's too childish compared to everything else they see on social media.
So now we're here in a time where the celebrities teens are screaming for, or should I say barking for, we'll get to that later, they're not PG, and none of what they do is designed for kids, but yet here kids are. And I should probably hurry up and throw this out there before y'all come for me. Yes, these celebrities are adults, making adult music, performing adult themes, and basically doing exactly what the industry rewards. We all know sex sells, but my point is, it's now being sold to children, because children don't have any other children to look up to.
It's always the kids aren't kids anymore. No, the kids are kids. They're just exposed to a lot of things earlier than you would have been because they're always on that damn phone. The teenagers aren't teenagers. They go straight from being kids to being adults. Being a teenager used to be fun. There used to be things for teenagers. There's nothing for them anymore. No teen magazine, no teen award show, no teen channel, no teen celebrity.
So the fact that kids enjoy this is just a product of them thinking that being a kid is cringe, or not having the kid-friendly space that parents want them to have. So the parents lash out like this.
Sabrina Carpenter is allegedly facing multiple lawsuits from angry parents who say that her concerts are, quote, too sexualized.
I'm seeing a ton of parents complaining about Sabrina Carpenter concerts, talking about that they're too provocative, the dances are too sexy, she's singing about sex and all this other stuff.
Let's look at the bigger picture here. These kids don't have that training wheel or pacifier celebrity. Hear me out. A training wheel celebrity that will basically grow up as that child that listens to them grows up, and then eventually they'll all grow up into adulthood and then be exposed to adulthood things like the bike. I hope y'all are keeping up with me and all my metaphors. And we all know kids are sponges and they need an influence, but their influences don't look like kids.
I just don't understand how there's just not any age appropriate like music artists for like kids and preteens anymore. Like that just doesn't seem to be a thing anymore. And so I'm just like, what are kids listening to? Like they're listening to the same thing that we're listening to as adults.
There's a multitude of reasons of why kids today look a little bit differently and act a little bit differently. And I think it's because we aren't encouraging them to be kids. Because when you think about the 2000s and the 90s, they made being a kid look so fun.
So now they're gravitating to more mature things, and they want someone that's young enough to be relatable, but grown enough to be admirable. Let that sink in. But Sabrina Carpenter was the perfect fit. She grew up inside the same safe and sweet Disney bubble that Miley did. But when she stepped away from Disney and her fans stepped away with her, she didn't become their training wheel celebrity. And also, I'm not saying that she should have to take on the role to be a role model to millions of young girls.
Did having that label as being a Disney actor, was that a disadvantage?
I don't want to sound ungrateful. It was not a disadvantage. This is a box I wanted to be in. When I was 10 or 11, that was my dream. I wanted to be on a Disney show. But on the flip side of it, I didn't know at the time the way that people perceived it and how it made them perceive your talent or your capabilities. And
how do you think it made them perceive your talent?
I was just like limited, or it was just like maybe one note or a little bit juvenile. And I think I was on a mission to prove them wrong.
No one should have to take on that pressure. We seen what happened to Miley. We seen what happened to Britney. So while I respect her trying to break out of that mode, it left a gap in the industry. Now we have young girls singing lyrics about tears running down thighs, and they probably don't even know what it means, but actually these kids are so grown today, they probably know what it means, and it's insane.
The reason why parents want Sabrina Carpenter to be kid-friendly is because there's no kid-friendly spaces anymore. When you're a tween, now you go from being a kid to getting on TikTok and seeing Sabrina Carpenter and liking Sabrina Carpenter, of course, and then wanting to see her live, and then the parents are like, why isn't this a kid-friendly show? It's not meant for kids, but there's nothing meant for kids, so what else was this kid supposed to like and listen to?
But not only are they singing what Sabrina sings, but they're doing whatever Somber tells them to, no matter how degrading. Somber is the result of a rising celebrity that didn't have to come from media training and Disney to steal the hearts of preteens and young kids around the world. And his concerts have caused a lot of controversy today, from making his young audience made up of mostly teenage girls bark for him.
Whatever, Nashville. Okay, I don't... Everyone bark for me, please. Thank you. I like that. Sexy.
And then grabbing his stuff on stage.
Like, aren't you the same mother I was just saying?
A 25-year-old attended my concert and was basically complaining that there were too many tweens there. I was making too many tweens there.
See, I don't know. Me personally, if I know that my audience is filled with, like, teenagers and underage girls, I'm not grabbing my dick on stage.
And even encouraging his very young audience to participate in messy relationship drama on stage.
My name is Shane. Everyone say hi to Mavis. Ready to call your ex? Okay.
Aiden cheated on Maddie, so we're gonna put his at on the screen, and everyone go just like unfollow Aiden because we don't like a cheater.
Now, We can't be mad that this is what teenagers are enjoying, but we also can't ignore the fact that the line between teen culture and adult culture have basically blurred and it's just gone. I can't help but think back to boy bands and celebrities that young girls fanned over back in the day, like One Direction, Mindless Behavior, even Big Time Rush. And I don't remember them making their very young and impressionable audience say or do anything inappropriate on stage.
In a concert with a bunch of tweens and you're calling them good boys and girls, calling yourself daddy. What? Oh, and let's not forget telling them to bark for you. I don't care what anyone says trying to defend this man, that is predatory behaviour, and it would be if it was a woman. It doesn't matter. This is not normal. Like, One Direction wasn't doing this.
Moral of the story, we can all see that the culture is evolving and it's speeding up pretty fast, and these teenagers, they have no choice but to keep up with it, especially since there's no middle ground for them. Thank you for tuning into the Girl Talk you didn't know you needed. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hype, whatever classy people like you do before heading to the next video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!